Good evening. We are so happy to be here to tell you about Japanese history. My name is Asako, and these are my co-presenter, Ayumi and Sachiko.
Today, we'd like to talk about Japanese history. We will focus on these three eras. The Heian era, which is around 8th to 11th century. The Edo era, which is around the time when Mayflower came to America. And the Meiji Era, which is the time around American Civil War. Ayumi will introduce Japanese culture. And then Asako will discuss Japanese food. And finally, I'll tell you about Japanese makeup. Let's time travel!
So now I want to talk about the passage of Japanese culture. As you know, all cultures are constantly changing, including Japanese culture. So today, I want to describe how Japanese culture has been changing. First, I want to talk about the Heian era. At this era, there is a clear hierarchy. The top was emperor, second was aristocrats, and the lowest class was citizens. At this era, emperor ran Japan. However, because emperor lived with aristocrats, he mainly helped aristocrats' lives. So at this era, aristocrats were really rich. However, citizens were very poor. So at this era, culture was born among aristocrats. Love and culture are strongly connected because at this era, the style of marriage was polygamy. So aristocrats' lives were full of love. Basically, men had to propose marriage to women. So men thought, what should they do to propose? And they got an idea. It was to use letters. So around this era, Japanese started to use letters. For example, kanji, hiragana, and katakana. So these are a way to write letters now too. Also, people started to make love letters, and it is called waka. And waka is Japanese poetry. So men made waka to women and sent it to propose. Also at this era, literature flourished. There are two interesting types of literature. One is Tales of Genji, and this is the oldest long novel in the world. The other is Pillow Book, and this is the oldest essay in the world. So at this era, many gorgeous and romantic cultures were born among aristocrats. Next, I want to talk about the Edo Era. At this era, politics changed. As I mentioned, before this era, emperor ran Japan. However, at this era, samurai took over the political light, so samurai government started. Because samurai were originally citizens, they knew citizens' lives were very hard. So they helped the citizens' lives. So at this era, citizens' lives became richer, easier, and more enjoyable. As a proof of that, I want to describe one change of kanji. Ukiyo means this word, and before this era, the kanji for ukiyo was this kanji, and it means hard word. However, after this era, it changed to this kanji, and it means enjoyable word. So it shows the changing of people's image towards their lives. Because citizens' lives became richer and easier, they started to enjoy entertainment. For example, kabuki, red light district, and sumo. So many people went to see this entertainment and they enjoyed their lives. Also at this era, art changed. Ukiyo-e was started at this era. As I told you, ukiyo means this word, so ukiyo-e is the picture of this word. One biggest change of picture is object. When you see the picture from Heian era, you can see aristocrats, 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 only aristocrats. So it means The object of picture was aristocrats at Heian Era. However, when you see ukiyo-e from Edo Era, you can see citizen, 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 citizens. So it means that object of art changed from aristocrats to citizens. So at Edo Era, the center of culture was citizens, so citizens made cultures. Finally, I want to talk about the Meiji Era. At this era, politics changed again. Before this era, Japan did long isolation, but at this era, Japan stopped it and opened the country. Also, samurai didn't have political right anymore. So, emperor government started again. Also, at this era, Japan was really weak. So Japan had to run Western countries' political system, technology, and culture. So culture changed a lot at this era. People started to imitate Western countries. For example, Japanese started to go to ball. This is Rokumeikan, and it is a ballroom built at this era. So many Japanese started to go to this hall and dance like Westerners. Also at this era, Japan welcomed the Industrial Revolution. Japanese government thought trading is very important, and at that time, one of the most important trading items was silk. So Japanese government made a lot of silk factories, and the first one was Tomioka Silk Mill. And it was registered to World Heritage Site this June. So at Meiji Era, everything in Japan became westernized. In conclusion, cultural change has been affected by politics, outside influence, and people. So culture has been changing all the time, and it will change too. But culture always satisfies our lives. Thank you for listening. Now, you understand how Japanese culture has been changing. So now let's move on to next topic, food. Please enjoy my co-presenter Asako's delicious presentation.
Thank you, Ayumi. As Ayumi said, I will talk about prehistorical food. Let's taste of Japanese food history. Japanese food is loved by people all over the world. The culture changed a lot. First, I'd like to talk about Heian Era. There were big differences between common people and aristocrats. This is common people's meal. It's called Ichiju Issai. The meaning of Ichiju Issai is one soup and one side dish. It's basic of washoku. Washoku, traditional Japanese food culture, was registered as an intangible cultural heritage on December 4th, 2013. On the other hand, this is aristocrat's meal. It's called kaiseki. The meaning of kaiseki is one soup and 15 kinds of side dishes. So as you can see, they ate luxurious food such as rice, fish, bamboo shoots, fruits, and sake. So there were huge differences. At that time, there were a lot of manners with using chopsticks. These are bad manners. For example, yosebashi, namidabashi, utsushibashi, and mayoibashi. I will show you one bad manner, mayoibashi.
Hey, Ayumi, let's eat dinner.
Okay, Mom. I will eat. Itadakimasu. Everything looks great today's dinner, Mom. I can't decide which should I eat first. Everything looks good. I can't decide. Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Ayumi. This is mayoibashi. It shows an indecisiveness. Actually, I often do that. So my mother is always angry with me. So when you decide food, you should decide good one as soon as possible. These manners exist even now. So let's move on to Edo Era. Many common people studied yatai. Yatai means food stand, so they could eat tempura, grilled eel, soba, and sushi. All these food is my favorite. Why did they start yatai? There were a lot of men who took up jobs in Edo City had to leave their family behind in their hometown because they needed to go to a bigger city to support their family. So eating out became the demand for them. How did they sell these food? One of them is Furiuri. It's kind of food vendor. It doesn't exist now. The other one is Tachiuri. It's kind of portable food stand. You can see Tachiuri at Japanese festival even today. So many common people could enjoy their meal in Edo Era. So finally, I will tell you about Meiji Era. Western food was introduced into Japan. Before Meiji Era, emperor didn't allow killing cows because they took over people's jobs as laborers. So they are super important existence like this. This taboo had been going on for 1,200 years. However, in 1872, Emperor Meiji broke the taboo because he believed Japan became westernized and an advanced nation, and also he thought eating meat could make Japanese stronger. So he wanted to assimilate European and American superior food culture by lifting the ban on eating meat. So as you can see, Western food was becoming popular, and two popular dishes were sukiyaki and bean jamban. This meat is Kobe beef, and the other one is made from bean jam and Western bread. So Japanese people had the opportunity for much more food variety. In conclusion, food culture greatly developed through these three eras. So thanks to them, we can eat delicious food. Thank you for listening. You now understand more about Japanese historical food. So now, Sachiko will talk about traditional makeup. Please enjoy.
Thank you, Asako. As Asako said, I'd like to discuss Japanese makeup in history. Today, most women put on makeup to be more beautiful. Since makeup started in Egypt 4,000 years ago, makeup has changed a lot. Japanese makeup history has unique and interesting facts. I'll begin by the Heian era. In the Heian era, makeup was only for aristocrats. They had rich and leisurely life, so they were able to afford to enjoy makeup. On the other hand, common people were very poor. They had suffered from hunger many times, so they didn't have enough money for makeup. Next, I will show you two kinds of makeup. The first one is mayuzumi. It means to draw eyebrow with ink. In the Heian era, women plucked their eyebrows all and drew eyebrow on their forehead instead. The reason why is to conceal their feelings. We can read how people feel from their eyebrows. In the Heian era, people believed to show their raw feelings was not good. The other one is oshiroi. It means to color face a white. To color a face white. In the Heian era, women couldn't meet men easily, so they held a secret rendezvous at night. There was no light, so it was very dark. So they wanted to show their face more clearly. In the Heian era, women showed how beautiful they were by hair. Long, black, straight hair was very beautiful. Surprisingly, some women had over 21 feet of hair. So, beautiful women in the Heian era had fair skin, long hair, long narrow eyes, and flat nose. That's all I have to say about the Heian era. So let me turn to the Edo era. In the Edo era, common people were able to get money from their jobs. So a lot of women enjoyed putting on makeup. Makeup became lighter and easier. So if they put on too much makeup, it was considered indecent. I'd like to introduce two kinds of hairstyles. The first one is called shimada. This part is tied in the middle. This is shimada. And today's my hairstyle is also shimada. This hairstyle was the most popular in this era, and it was only for unmarried women. Also, this hairstyle is used today for Japanese style weddings. The other one is called marumage. Maru means rounded. So, this part is rounded. This hairstyle was only for married women. And I will show you one example of makeup. This is ohaguro. As you can see, this woman has black teeth. Two-color teeth black is ohaguro. It was only for married women. The reason why they used the black is they wanted to show their fidelity to their husbands. Black never changed by any color, so they wanted to say they had never changed. They were their husbands forever, so they used the black. From these examples, we can know she is married or unmarried. She has rounded hairstyle, marumage. Also, she has black teeth, ohaguro. So, she is married woman. Beautiful women in the Edo era had fair skin, long narrow eyes, and light makeup. Finally, let's look at the Meiji era. In the Meiji era, a national isolation, which had been adopted for 200 years, was ended. So a lot of Western cultures and people came to Japan. Why? The Japanese government asked people who still put on Japanese traditional makeup to stop it. The Japanese traditional makeup, such as oshiroi, it is to color face white, was strange for the foreigners, so they stopped it. Therefore, makeup became more natural. Before this era, women used white color for foundation, but in this era, they used fresh color. Also, they used eyeshadow because they realized Japanese eyes were narrower than Western eyes, so they wanted to make their eyes more bigger. In this era, people wore Western clothes such as dress, so a lot of new hairstyles were born in this era to match the clothes. The new hairstyles were called sokuhatsu. Sokuhatsu can be roughly classified into 4 kinds: agemaki, sagemaki, igirisumaki, and magarake. So beautiful women in the Meiji era had fair skin, but not white, big round eyes, and prominent nose. So they were influenced by foreign countries. In conclusion, the definition of Japanese beauty has changed throughout these 3 eras. Thank you for listening.
For our group conclusion, as you can see, Japanese culture has been changing. For example, food changes a lot, and also makeup changes a lot. So each Japanese culture has unique history. So next time you see Japanese culture, please feel history. Thank you for listening. Do you have any questions? Yes.
The question is, what is the most popular hairstyle today in Japan?
Does anyone have any question?
Today. In my opinion, I like long hair, but not so long, like over 21 feet. And I think Japanese young women like lighter hair. So I think we should cherish our beautiful black hair. But I have blonde hair.
Any other questions? Yes.
What is the topic of the pillow book?
The question is, what's the topic of pillow book? Pillow book is not so well organized book because the author changed her feeling towards the nature she saw freely. So it is kind of her journal of nature, what she saw. Any other questions?
There are various kinds of stories.
The Tales of Genji. Is that being taught in school today still?
The question is, the Tales of Genji is still read in school.
To guess the stories and endings.
So for the high school students, some high school students have to read in the classic Japanese. So we read Tales of Genji in original letters. Any other questions?